You probably don't think about your gut very often. But the truth is, that quiet, hidden part of your body is doing a lot more than just digesting breakfast. And as we age, the balance of bacteria inside us, the trillions of tiny living organisms living in your intestines, starts to change. Not always for the better. Today, I want to talk to you about something most people don't see, don't feel, and don't even think about until something goes wrong. Your gut. And more specifically, the healthy bacteria inside your gut that may just be the secret to aging well, staying strong, and protecting yourself, especially if you're living alone. Now, this isn't just another wellness trend or a fancy supplement. What we're talking about is real, rooted in science, and deeply connected to how you feel, how you think, and even how you fight off illness. Here's my promise. By the end of this video, you'll understand why gut health could be one of the most important things you focus on in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I'll share real steps you can take to support your gut, starting today, even if you're cooking for one or just trying to feel better on your own terms. So, let's begin with something simple. Imagine a garden. A beautiful garden doesn't grow on its own. It needs good soil, water, sunlight, care, and maybe a few worms and bees doing their thing quietly underground. Your gut is like that garden, and the bacteria inside it are the workers. When everything is balanced, your body hums along beautifully. You digest food better, your immune system works smarter, your brain feels clearer, and even your mood is more stable. But when the balance shifts, when the bad bugs start to outnumber the good ones, things go off track. And for older adults, this imbalance can sneak up slowly. You might notice more bloating, strange food sensitivities, constipation, trouble sleeping, or even more frequent colds. Many just chalk it up to aging. But often, it's the gut. I want to tell you about a woman named Dorothy. She's 74, lives alone in a small town outside Portland. She was active, gardening every morning, meeting friends for tea. But over time, she began to feel off. More tired, moody, digestion wasn't right. She went to her doctor, who ran tests. Everything looked fine. But Dorothy knew something was off. She came across a local health seminar where they talked about gut bacteria. Not pills, not fancy cleanses, just the basics. Eating more real food, less packaged snacks, introducing fermented foods like plain yogurt and sauerkraut. She made small changes, started journaling how she felt, and within weeks, she began to feel like herself again. Dorothy didn't take any new medications. She just fed her gut, and in return, her body thanked her. So let's break this down. First, what exactly do these gut bacteria do for us? They help you digest food and absorb nutrients. They produce vitamins like B12 and K. They regulate inflammation, which is huge because chronic low-level inflammation is linked to arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, even dementia. Gut bacteria also communicate directly with your brain through something called the gut-brain axis. So when your gut's unhappy, your mood often follows. But here's the challenge. As we get older, especially past 60, the diversity of our gut bacteria tends to shrink. That means fewer kinds of good bugs doing fewer good things. And when you're living alone, perhaps relying on quicker meals or eating less variety, that shift happens even faster. Now, this isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Because the good news is, your gut bacteria respond quickly, sometimes in just a few days, to what you eat. Let's look at another real example. Jack, a widower in his late 60s, was struggling with constant bloating and fatigue. He lived on frozen meals and toast most days. His daughter convinced him to see a nutritionist, and they started by simply adding a bowl of oatmeal with berries each morning and a cup of kefir at lunch. Just those two changes, fiber from the oats and natural probiotics from the kefir, began to shift Jack's gut flora. A month later, he was walking farther without tiring. He even told his daughter, "I don't know what's in that weird yogurt drink, but I'm keeping it." So let's talk about what the gut needs from us. The first is fiber. And I don't mean fiber supplements. I mean real, plant-based fiber that bacteria feed on. Think lentils, chickpeas, apples with the peel, leafy greens, brown rice, and yes, your morning oatmeal. When you feed your bacteria with fiber, they produce something called short-chain fatty acids, especially one called butyrate, which helps lower inflammation and protect the lining of your gut. That lining, by the way, acts like a security guard, deciding what gets into your bloodstream and what doesn't. Second, variety matters. Your gut bugs love diversity. So don't just eat the same salad every day. Mix it up: carrots, beets, zucchini, arugula, cauliflower, purple cabbage. Every color offers something different, and your microbes will thank you. Third, fermented foods. These are your allies. You don't need to go overboard. Just a spoonful of sauerkraut, a small glass of kefir, some miso in your soup, or even pickled onions on your sandwich. These foods bring live bacteria into your gut and help support the good ones already there. Now, a word about probiotic pills. They sound appealing, right? Just pop a capsule and you're good to go. But research shows they're not always effective for older adults. The strains in the pill might not match what your body actually needs. Plus, if your diet is still poor, those bacteria won't have anything to eat. It's like inviting guests to an empty house. Instead of reaching for pills first, build the foundation with food. If you still want to add a probiotic later, it'll have a much better chance of helping. Let me share one more story before we pause for now. Elaine is 80, lives in Florida, and volunteers twice a week at her local library. She used to get sick every winter: colds, sinus infections, the occasional bout of bronchitis. Her doctor said her immune system just wasn't bouncing back the way it used to. But Elaine was curious. She read a small article about how gut bacteria affect immunity and decided to try an experiment. For 1 month, she cut out processed snacks and focused on adding fiber and fermented foods. She even started sipping bone broth with garlic and turmeric. That winter, no colds. Her energy stayed steady, and the only thing that changed was how she fed her gut. You see, supporting your gut isn't about being perfect. It's not about going vegan or throwing out every cookie. It's about knowing that your body still responds, even now. Even if you live alone, even if you're tired, your bacteria are alive, and they're listening. And as you begin to feed them what they need, something magical starts to happen, not just in your belly, but in your brain, your energy, your sleep, and your resilience. In the next part, we'll explore some unexpected ways your gut affects your mood, sleep, and even your memory, along with practical tips you can start using right away to support your microbiome without turning your kitchen upside down. We'll also look at why some people who live past 100 have surprisingly young guts, and how you can learn from them, no matter your age. But before we continue, I'd love to know, have you ever noticed a connection between how you eat and how you feel, not just physically but mentally? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if any of these stories reminded you of someone you know, feel free to share this video with them too. If you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's how we keep these helpful, heartfelt videos coming your way. So where were we? Yes, your gut, and how feeding it well doesn't just help your digestion. It reaches into places you might not expect, like your mood, your memory, even the quality of your sleep. Let's start with something you've probably felt before. That little knot in your stomach when you're anxious, or butterflies when you're excited. That's not your imagination. That's your gut talking to your brain, and your brain talking back. There's a whole communication highway between your gut and your brain. It's called the vagus nerve, and it's constantly sending messages in both directions. So if your gut is inflamed or unhappy, your brain often feels it too, sometimes as low mood, foggy thinking, or feeling easily overwhelmed. A lot of older adults chalk that up to aging. I'm just getting forgetful, they say, or I don't bounce back like I used to. But sometimes it's not about age. It's about inflammation. And guess where a lot of that starts? The gut. Researchers have found that certain gut bacteria actually produce neurotransmitters, things like serotonin and dopamine. These are the chemicals that help regulate how happy or calm or alert you feel. If your gut isn't healthy, those chemicals can drop and your mood follows. I once met a man named Harold. He was 76 and a retired bus driver. His wife had passed a few years earlier, and while he still got out for walks in Sunday church, he told me he just felt flat. Like my joy's been watered down, he said. His doctor wanted to start him on antidepressants, but Harold wasn't sure. So he asked about lifestyle changes. His daughter, who happened to be a nurse, suggested he start with food. She helped him slowly reduce sugar and processed foods, and add more fermented vegetables, leafy greens, and legumes. They even made sauerkraut together from a family recipe. Over the next 2 months, Harold didn't become a different person, but something shifted. He started sleeping better. He laughed more. He got interested in bird watching, something he hadn't done in years. He said, "I didn't think food could change how I feel, but I do feel lighter. Now let's talk about sleep. This one might surprise you. The balance of gut bacteria actually influences your sleep cycles. Some species help produce melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to wind down. When your gut's out of balance, you may find it harder to fall asleep, or you wake more often through the night. One study found that older adults with more diverse gut bacteria had better sleep quality, deeper, more restful sleep. Not necessarily longer, but better. And if you've ever had a night of poor sleep, you know how that fog can follow you all day long. That's why eating for your gut isn't just about avoiding discomfort. It's about restoring your rhythm, your energy, even your joy. So, what can you do, practically, realistically, to take care of your gut when you're in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s? Here are some real, doable steps that don't involve expensive pills or extreme diets. First, cook once, eat twice. If you're cooking for one, it's tempting to go for crackers and cheese or a microwave meal. But if you make a big pot of lentil soup or roasted vegetables, you can eat once now and save the rest for later. Your gut doesn't need gourmet meals. It needs fiber, color, and consistency. Second, swap instead of cut. Instead of cutting things out completely, try swapping. Replace white rice with brown or wild rice. Swap white bread for whole grain. Choose fruit for dessert a few times a week. Small swaps add up. Third, bring in the ferments, but gently. You don't have to go full kombucha and kimchi overnight. Try a few spoonfuls of plain Greek yogurt with breakfast. Add a little sauerkraut to your sandwich. If it's too sour, mix it with avocado. Make it friendly, not a chore. And don't forget hydration. Water helps move everything along. Even your good bacteria rely on it to do their job well. Try sipping warm water with lemon in the morning. It's gentle, soothing, and helps get things going. Now let's talk briefly about antibiotics. Sometimes they're necessary, absolutely. But every time you take antibiotics, they wipe out bacteria, good and bad. It's like clearing a forest. That's why after a course of antibiotics, it's vital to rebuild with fiber and fermented foods. It's not about fear. It's about rebuilding. There's one more story I want to share with you. Agnes, 93 years old, living alone in a small house by the sea. Sharp as a tack. She still knits, plays piano, and reads a book a week. When someone asked her the secret to her long life, she said, "My gut's happier than most people's hearts." Turns out, Agnes grew up eating traditional fermented foods, sourdough bread, kefir, root vegetables from her garden. She never followed a diet, but she never gave up real food either. She cooked simple meals, and she trusted her body enough to pay attention when something didn't feel right. That's what I want to leave you with. You don't need a trendy cleanse or a long list of rules. What your gut wants is simple: real food, variety, fiber, a little fermentation, and kindness, because stress affects your gut just as much as sugar. Even if you live alone, even if cooking feels tiring sometimes, there are ways to care for your gut that are gentle, joyful, and deeply effective. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just one step, one bowl of soup, one new vegetable, one jar of pickles. Because when you care for your gut cares for you. And that might just be one of the most important acts of self-care you can do at any age. If something in this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear it. Maybe you've tried changing your diet, or maybe you're just starting. Either way, share your experience in the comments. I read every one. And you'd be surprised how much your story could help someone else. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend or family member who might benefit from it. The more we talk about these things, the more we support each other. Take care of your gut, and it will take care of you. Thanks for being here with me.